Welcome to Richplanet TV. I'm Richard D. Hall. On today's show, we investigate the bizarre disappearance of 1,500 sheep from a field in Lincolnshire, which took place in September 2011. But before that, I am launching a new campaign that you can help with. It's called Tell Your MP About 7/7 and is intended to bring awareness to MPs about the reality of the 7/7 London bombings. Okay, it's Saturday the 1st of September 2012, it's 9 AM in the morning, and I've come to Birtley. Now the reason why I've come here is because I'm going to hand over some very important information to my MP, Dave Anderson. Dave Anderson is a Labour MP, and I've got some basically documentation regarding the London bombings of 2005. Viewers will know that I've extensively covered the London bombings on the TV show over the last couple of years, featuring Nick Colostrom, Anthony John Hill, and also intelligence analyst Tony Farrell. And I'm going to be handing over to Dave today, firstly, the book Terror on the Tube, written by Dr. Nick Colostrom, Behind the Veil of 7/7, a copy of this document, which was written by Dr. Rory Ridley Duff of Sheffield Hallam University, that looks at the events at Canary Wharf on the day of 7/7. This document, written by ex-police principal intelligence analyst Tony Farrell. This letter, written by Dr. Nick Colostrom to Justice Lady Hallett, who sat at the inquest. Also going to give him a copy of the film 7/7 Ripple Effect, which seeks to expose the truth about the London bombings, and also 6 interviews that I've conducted with Nick Colostrom, Anthony John Hill, and also Tony Farrell. And with all of this information is a covering letter in which I state that the overwhelming body of evidence proves beyond reasonable doubt that the 4 young Muslims who have been blamed by mainstream media for carrying out the bombings are totally innocent. The mainstream media have grossly misreported the facts about 7/7 and are at best ill-informed and at worst complicit in the bombings. There is not one shred of evidence that would convict any of these young men, which is why under the law they are still totally innocent of any charge. So please help with this campaign. All the details are on the richplanet.net website. All it will cost you is printing out 43 A4 pages. It would be great if we could get this information to all 600 and odd MPs in the UK. Now, strap in tight for my investigation into the Lincolnshire Triangle. On Richplanet TV, we have reported on cases of animal mutilation, where animal carcasses are found in remote areas, having had surgical procedures carried out with specific organs missing, on occasion total removal of blood without a trace being left on the ground. No human being has ever been seen, caught or convicted of carrying out such attacks, and we have presented evidence which proves there is some kind of government cover-up about these occurrences. Many researchers believe such incidents are the work of non-human intelligences. UFOs have often been sighted in areas where these attacks take place. A lieutenant in the US Air Force who worked at the Pentagon confirmed that he learned animal mutilation is linked to UFOs. But not only are animals being inexplicably mutilated, they are going inexplicably missing in huge numbers. When large numbers of farm animals disappear overnight, the immediate assumption by the police, the media and farmers is they have been stolen by rustlers. And there is no doubt that animal rustling does go on. However, on some occasions, there is not a shred of evidence to back up the initial assumptions. In fact, the evidence points to something far more exotic than animal rustling. Today's programme follows my investigation into the sudden disappearance of 1,500 sheep overnight from a single field in Lincolnshire, which took place in September 2011. Now, the area that we're going to is centred at a place called Louth, which is about 25 miles northeast of Lincoln and about 12 miles south of Grimsby. And it's in a place known as the Wolds, the Lincolnshire Wolds, W-O-L-D-S, which are steep gorges of chalk hills. Now, a couple of months back, I was at the East Yorkshire Wolds, where there's high UFO activity, and I've shown some film footage of that. So you just wonder whether there's some reason for the UFOs appearing in Wolds. This is by no means the first time large numbers of farm animals have disappeared without explanation. In the 70s at Richplanet Farm in Wales, 158 cows disappeared from a milking shed and were found in another farmer's field. In 1980 in Todmorden, during the Alan Godfrey UFO case, cows were moved to a housing estate and then moved again to a park behind locked gates. In 2000, 390 sheep disappeared from inaccessible land on Malham Moor, reported in the Craven Herald. Also in 2000, in April, Nottinghamshire, over 1,500 sheep went missing over a period of 4 separate nights. During 3 nights, 1,268 sheep vanished from the same field, and on a 4th night, 248 in-lamb ewes vanished from a secure barn. This case came to light due to an advert for a £10,000 reward placed in the press by the farmer. Researcher David Caton interviewed the farmer and found the circumstances of the disappearance from the barn were mind-boggling. A sheepdog was kennelled just yards away from the barn and did not wake or bark during the 4-hour period the sheep were unobserved. The logistics of getting a truck into the farmyard would have meant it impossible for the sheep to have been taken without being noticed. The farmyard would have been covered in droppings after loading 248 sheep, but it was completely clean. The farmer was perplexed and also commented about the 1,200 sheep disappearing from the field, saying it was as if helicopters had come down and winched them up. 11.5 years later, about 50 miles east, 1,500 sheep disappeared in one night from a remote Lincolnshire field. The BBC website reported, sheep stolen from Stenagott for illegal abattoirs. Police believe almost 1,500 sheep may have been taken to unlicensed abattoirs. But nobody seems to be able to find these unlicensed abattoirs, and I suspect they do not exist. Before we look into this case, I'm going to highlight some of the activity that has been reported in the county of Lincolnshire over recent years. The activity has been concentrated mainly in the top right-hand corner of Lincolnshire, centred around a town called Louth. An article in local newspaper The Louth Leader from October 2008 talks about UFOs being regularly observed at Brinkhill by witness Eric Goring. A UFO investigator went to check out Eric Goring's claims and said, "I can now report I have been to Brinkhill twice, and on both occasions myself and a friend have seen the objects. I must say they are as Mr. Goring described. I saw 3 objects with lights on each point of the triangle with a very large central light. The larger object flew within 100 feet of my car and we experienced total electrical mayhem, and I felt charged with static. The objects are definitely not the Aurora Black Project plane because it uses pulse scramjets, and these were silent, and we estimated they covered the distance from the coast to the Wolds in around a second, and that is not possible even for the Aurora." Just 2 months later, in January 2009, 15 miles north of Brinkhill, the famous Lincolnshire wind turbine incident occurred, reported widely in the press, with claims that a UFO may have caused the damage to the turbine.
People who live nearby say that it was hit by a UFO. Residents remember being woken in the early hours of Sunday morning by a huge crash. When the sun came up, one of the turbines was bent and broken. That came after several witnesses reported glowing spheres in the sky earlier the same night.
I just suddenly saw this light appear in front of us, and it just seemed to whiz sort of across the sky towards the wind turbines. I said there was 2 or 3 of us in the car, and I just said to the other 2, what was that?
Several other people claimed to have seen strange lights in the sky, and one person even reported seeing an explosion.
Lights appeared first of all, and it wasn't, according to various locals you speak to, it wasn't just one kind of light. There were lots of different lights. There was a small light, says a county councillor. No, says another motorist. It was a massive light with tentacles hanging down, and it was all over these wind turbines, and then look what they woke up to.
I saw a light. I was travelling from North Somercotes to South Somercotes towards Louth. There was a light, a static light, which was over the wind turbines. It was white with a slight reddish surround, and as the car moved, the light seemed to move with us. Whether this was an illusion, I do not know. But as we turned the corner, the light seemed to turn the corner and then disappear.
And then the next thing you find out is that that wind turbine has been damaged.
I've just zoomed right in there so you can see the join where the blade joins the main rotating body, and they look pretty mechanically sound to me. If one of these blades just came off due to mechanical failure, I can't imagine it travelling very far. No more than a few hundred feet. And apparently it took them a while to find the missing blade, so I've heard. For me, it seems far too much of a coincidence that there were multiple UFO sightings of an object hovering above this wind farm on the night that the blade came off. So, after the incident, further witness reports appeared in the local media. Speculation has continued amongst residents in Conisholme, with some saying they saw strange flashing tentacle-shaped lights above the wind farm on the night before it happened. Mr. John Harrison of Salt Fleetby described how on Saturday night, January the 3rd, he looked out of his landing window to see a massive ball of light with tentacles going right down to the ground over Conisholme wind farm. More eyewitnesses have come forward after speculation of a UFO hitting a wind turbine. Scores of witnesses have been coming forward to tell us their weird encounters over the past weeks. Rebecca Hodgson of Louth was at her horse's stables off London Road, Louth, Saturday, January the 3rd, the night before the 65-foot blade fell from the turbine in Conisholme, when her horse was spooked by a flashing orange ball in the sky. Rebecca described how her horse stopped suddenly and gazed up at the sky as a bright orange light circled above the turbines. She said it was really bright and glowing. It went dimmer and then moved across horizontally. The Daily Mail decided to muddy the waters by stating, government officials have claimed that an unmanned stealth bomber could have been the UFO responsible for destroying the wind turbine. And which government official is that, we should ask ourselves? The Daily Mail doesn't say. I detect bullshit. I also detect an attempt to muddle up the facts with such unsubstantiated, dubious claims. 5 months later, the local newspaper reports that somebody has mapped out much of the UFO activity in the area, and it makes kind of a triangle shape centred around Louth. And so the Lincolnshire Triangle was born. Further reports rolled in the vicinity of the same wind farm and a few miles further down the coast at Mablethorpe. In the 1990s, the radio tower at nearby Trusthorpe was nicknamed Alien Tower due to so many reported sightings of UFOs spotted in the vicinity of the tower. I was able to track down Eric Goring, the man who reported seeing UFOs in the region well before the wind turbine incident.
I've had hundreds of sightings, hundreds, and I used to go out any time from about 5 p.m. till about 7 a.m. in the morning, next morning. And I used to go from one side of the village and back to the other side. Because I used to go to the top of Harrington Hill. That was another favourite site of mine. And I used to, I saw these white or orange or yellow balls of light,
Right. Okay.
which turned out to be the Black Triangle.
Right, see, okay, so can you expand on that? So how did a bright or orange ball of light turn into a black triangle?
Well, I don't know. So,
Explain it then.
they was out in the fields, going round and round the fields, and
Balls of light?
pardon?
Balls of light?
Yes, right. They lit up bright, and then when they come closer, I could see they were the Black Triangle.
Okay, now were there 3 balls of light that made the corners of the triangle, or?
Sometimes, but sometimes the whole ball was the triangle, and it's like a covering of them.
How many times would you estimate you've seen this black triangle, and what's the size of the black triangle?
Right. I've seen it hundreds of times, hundreds, and I've seen up to 40 in one night. It was right above me.
And what kind of size are we talking about?
I'm saying they're approximately 30 foot along each flat side.
Now, there's a military base at Coningsby. Do you think they're flying secret aircraft that could be sighted out of there?
No way, no way.
Why don't you think that?
I've seen them come down to the ground at thousands of miles an hour. They come from up there, straight to the ground, and they loop out, and then they go up again. We've got nothing that can fly like that. Round about 30 foot each flat side, that's right.
Okay, so that's not...
It's not big, is it?
Right.
And the depth of them is not deep either.
Right.
I think there's about a dozen came down, and they come down, and they can turn around like that.
Right. Yeah.
And that is it.
So just show us the underneath there. Top.
That is the front end of it, the flat side.
Okay, so you're saying it flies that way?
Yeah, it flies flat first, that's right. And it floats. It doesn't fly, it floats. Sometimes you get red, sometimes it's always white. I've got a night viewer.
Okay.
Sees in the dark, and I couldn't see those four without this night viewer.
Tell me about noise, because...
No noise, no noise.
Not even a swish? Or...
Complete silence.
And you've seen these, several of them together, yeah?
I've seen up to 40.
Right.
I've seen up to 40.
So, in the sky at the same time? 40?
Yes, at the same time.
When they leave, describe how that happens. Do they go out to sea? Do they go up? Do they go down? What happens?
Well, they just seem to disappear.
Right.
And
where they are, so they don't go off in a particular direction?
no, not that I've noticed.
It starts off as a yellow ball,
Yes,
and
right.
then it develops into a triangle. Explain as best you can how that happens.
Okay. When it comes down to the ground, it's very fast, very fast. And I thought it was going to crash. It come down so fast. It looped out. Next thing I saw, it was over a tree.
Right.
They can stop instantly. Instantly. We've got nothing that can do that.
So this is the ball of light that stops instantly, or the triangle?
No, it was a ball of light when it came down. Over the tree, it was the triangle. It's the first time I've seen it.
Right.
And it was a black triangle.
So you saw a ball of light, it came down, went up, and then you kept looking, and then suddenly it just became a triangle?
That's right. Yeah, over the tree it was. It stopped instantly like that. When I look through my night vision viewer, they're pulsing.
All right.
You know what I mean? They're
Yeah. But you can't see that through the naked eye?
not naked eye, no.
Would you, the things that you've seen, are they all of that nature, or do you see different... Like,
No.
For example, I'll give you an example. A guy saw what he said was an egg-shaped craft.
No, I've never seen anything like that, no. Always black triangles.
Right.
And it was tilting from side to side like that. 180 degrees.
Okay.
And I stayed there till 7:40 in the morning,
Right.
and I got my night view on it, and I could see right through it. The light was coming in right out there.
Keep it in the camera.
Yeah.
Show me where the light's coming out from.
Coming right out of the corners.
Right, okay.
3 corners. That's right.
Fascinating.
And how many people have seen that?